This is Parshat Vayigash, and we're talking about the epic confrontation between Yehuda and Yosef. But I have to tell you, the way it's portrayed in the Torah is not even remotely like the way it's portrayed in the Midrash. And that's why the title is Yosef's Emotionally Charged Group Therapy Session. That will make sense shortly. So let me give you two examples of how the Midrash portrays this tremendous tension going on and this very caustic exchange. So for example, Yehuda says to Yosef, I'm so angry, I'm going to dye the marketplace red. In other words, I'm going to destroy them and kill people. And that's how enraged I am. And Yosef replies, oh, you want to dye something red? I know that you have a history of dyeing red, just like you dyed the coat of your brother after selling him into slavery. You dyed that red also. And another example is that ki kamocha kaparo. These are words that in the Torah you see an example of Yehuda trying to flatter Yosef and say, you're so powerful in Egypt, you're like Paro. But it's just the opposite of the Midrash. He's saying, oh, you're just like Paro because you have vices like he does. We know that Paro is a womanizer. And what about you? The fact that you saw that my brother Binyamin was this handsome young man, did that have anything to do with the reason that you want to have him as a slave? So that is how caustic it is between them. So what's the reason for bringing up all this trauma? As I said, it's like a therapy session. According to the Midrash, which obviously doesn't use that term, but according to the Midrash, everything had to come out. Everything had to be laid out on the table. Okay, Yehuda was representing his brothers, and he had to hear from Yosef that this is the trauma that you caused me. That's the first step. Get it out there. And of course, Yosef used this trick of divining with his goblet. He looked at his goblet and said things. I can see this and I can see that. For example, he says, I see that you are not the older brother. Why are you even talking to me? And of course, Yehuda responds, well, I'm talking to you because I'm the one that took responsibility for my brother Binyamin. And Yosef says, oh, you took responsibility for your brother Binyamin? How impressive. Wait a second, were you the one that took responsibility? I see you had another brother who was sold into slavery and you tormented your father by telling him that he was torn to pieces by a wild animal. Did you take responsibility for that brother as well? So again, this is the way Yosef brought out all the trauma, but now you have to you cause the wound, you open the wound, and now you have to sort of close the wound, because what happens is when you admit to everything that you did, the people who perpetrated these acts are filled with shame and guilt, and you have to deal with that. You can't just leave the wound open. And this is very important. In fact, maybe that's why in the Midrash it says that when Yosef revealed himself, the brothers tried to kill him, and Yosef had to be saved by angels. Because you have to have the next step, the reconciliation. How do you close the gap? So there you have this beautiful idea that Yosef, in fact, wanted to show his brothers that they are completely forgiven, and that he loves them unconditionally. They are completely forgiven. So how did he do that? So the Midrash makes an analogy between what Yosef did and what God himself is going to do at the end of days. At the end of days, God is going to tell the Jewish people, I really feel bad for all the trauma that you went through and all the different stops along the way in the long, dark Jewish exile. And the Jewish people are going to feel, wow, we really feel shame when you make that statement, because we know that it wasn't you that caused the trauma, it was we. We can't blame God for the destruction of the first and second temple. It was our sins that caused it. So now God has, laid out some of the trauma, and you have the guilt and shame that the people are feeling. But what does God do? So beautiful words from Yirmiyahu. It says, "B'bechi yaviyu," I'm going to bring you back at the end of days with crying. Whose tears are we talking about? According to the Midrash, it's the tears of God. It's the tears of God, because those tears will show the Jewish people that there is closure, there's complete forgiveness. And the same is true with Yosef. As you see in the Parshat at the end, he kisses and hugs each brother and cries with them. Those tears are the tears of reconciliation, of saying, you don't have to worry that I have any secret, harboring any anger against you. No, it's complete, utter forgiveness. In fact, he says those famous words, L'michya shlachani Elokim. I now realize the bigger picture. My crazy rise to power and all the events that we are talking about here were all orchestrated by God. It had nothing to do with you. This is what God needed to happen, because for one reason, the world is in a grip of famine, and I have to save the world, and I have to save you, my family. And now God put me in a position to do so. And of course, the ultimate part of the mission is what was really going on is Jewish destiny was unfolding, right? God needed Yaakov to come down to Egypt so they could be enslaved, so they could be redeemed, so they can get the Torah, so they can come into Eretz Israel. Jewish destiny needed to lurch forward, and the only way to do it is to get Yaakov to come down. And how do you do that? So this whole dramatic story ended, as you remember, when Yaakov was told that Yosef is still alive. He said, wow, I need to go down and see him while I'm an old man. I need to go see him while I'm alive. That was it. That was the purpose, to come down to Egypt, and Jewish destiny will go forward. Have a great Shabbat.